My name is George Thornton. I am 68 years old. My wife, Elaine, is 65. For 43 years, I worked as a high school history teacher. Elaine worked as a nurse. We did not get rich. We did not buy luxury cars or vacation homes. We saved every penny so that our only son, Bradley, could have the life we never had. Bradley is a successful surgeon now. He drives a German car. He lives in a gated community. He is engaged to a woman named Tiffany, whose father is a state senator. They are the picture of success. The American dream fully realized. Except the dream forgot to include us. It started slowly. The phone calls became shorter. The visits became less frequent. When Bradley got engaged, we learned about it from Facebook. When he bought his house, we saw the photos on Instagram. We were not invited to the housewarming. We were not introduced to Tiffany's parents until 6 months into the engagement, and that meeting lasted exactly 45 minutes and consisted mostly of Tiffany's mother, Patricia, asking us what we did, as if we had just applied for a job. "I'm a retired teacher," I said. "I'm a retired nurse," Elaine said. Patricia smiled the way you smile at a stain on a carpet. How noble. I should have known then. I should have seen the writing on the wall. But love makes you blind. And parental love makes you stupid. It makes you believe that your child would never hurt you, even when all the evidence points in the opposite direction. The wedding was scheduled for June 15th at the Hawthorne Estate, a venue so expensive that the napkins probably cost more than my first car. We received our invitation in the mail, a thick cream-colored envelope with gold foil lettering. Our names were on it. George and Elaine Thornton. We were so happy. We cried. We spent 2 months preparing. Elaine bought a new dress, lavender, her favorite color. I rented a suit. We bought a gift, a set of crystal champagne flutes hand-engraved with Bradley and Tiffany's names. It cost us nearly $1,000. It was more than we had spent on anything in years, but this was our son's wedding, our only son. He was worth it. Or so we thought. The wedding day arrived, June 15th. Sunny, warm, perfect. We drove 2 hours to the Hawthorne Estate. Elaine held the gift box in her lap the whole way, her fingers tracing the engraving over and over. I held her hand. "He's going to be so happy to see us," she said. I nodded, but something in my stomach felt wrong. I couldn't name it, just a heaviness, a weight. We arrived at the venue at 2:00 p.m. The ceremony was scheduled for 3:00. The parking lot was full of expensive cars. We parked our old sedan at the far end next to the staff entrance. Elaine touched up her lipstick. I straightened my tie. We walked toward the front door, hand in hand. That's when we saw Bradley. He was standing at the entrance with Tiffany and her parents. They were laughing, looking perfect. Bradley saw us approaching, and his smile did not disappear, but it changed. It became something else, something tight. "Mom, Dad," he said the words like he was reading them off a script. "You're early." "We wanted to help," Elaine said. She held out the gift box. "We brought you something, hand-engraved. We had it done especially." Bradley did not take the box. He looked at his fiancée. Tiffany looked at her mother. Patricia looked at us the way a hawk looks at a mouse. "There's been a change of plans," Patricia said. Her voice was silk, poisoned silk. "The family seating is reserved for close relatives only." Elaine blinked. "We are close relatives, we're his parents." "Yes, well," Patricia smoothed her dress. "Bradley and Tiffany have decided to keep the ceremony small, intimate, just the people who have been supportive of their relationship." The word hung in the air, supportive. "What are you saying?" I asked. Tiffany stepped forward. Her smile was practiced, pageant perfect. "We're saying that your presence would make people uncomfortable. My father is a state senator. His colleagues are here. The press might come. We can't have you." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. The word she was looking for was embarrassing. The word she was looking for was poor. The word she was looking for was ashamed. I looked at Bradley. Son, tell me this isn't happening. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He looked at the ground. He looked at the sky. He looked anywhere but at us. Dad, he said, you need to leave. The world stopped. Please, Bradley said. His voice was quiet. Just go. I'll call you later. I'll explain everything. But right now you need to leave. Leave? Elaine's voice cracked. Bradley, we're your parents. We drove 2 hours. We bought you. I didn't ask you to buy me anything. His voice was sharper now, angrier. I didn't ask you to come. I sent you the invitation because Mom guilted me into it. But I don't want you here. I've never wanted you here. You embarrass me. You embarrass Tiffany. You embarrass her whole family. You're just a teacher and a nurse. You don't belong here. You don't belong here. 7 words. 7 words that undid 43 years of sacrifice. 7 words that made every early morning, every late night, every penny saved, every meal skipped. 7 words that made all of it mean nothing. Elaine started to cry, not the quiet, dignified tears of a woman who had spent her life caring for others. These were ugly, broken, heaving sobs. She clutched the gift box to her chest like a life preserver. Please, she whispered. Please, Bradley, we just want to see you get married. We'll sit in the back. We won't talk to anyone. We'll leave right after, please. Bradley looked at Tiffany. Tiffany looked at her mother. Patricia shook her head, just barely. A tiny movement, but Bradley saw it. No, he said. Security will escort you out. And he turned his back. Security arrived within seconds. 2 large men in ill-fitting suits. They didn't touch us. They didn't have to. They simply stood there, blocking the entrance, waiting for us to move. I took Elaine's arm. She was shaking. The gift box slipped from her fingers and fell to the ground. The champagne flutes shattered inside. The sound was terrible, like a heart breaking. I picked up the box. I held my wife. And we walked back to our old sedan, past the expensive cars, past the valet who pretended not to see us, past the beautiful flowers and the white tents and the string quartet that had started playing something romantic. We sat in the car for a long time. Elaine stopped crying eventually. She just stared out the window. I stared at the steering wheel. What do we do now? She asked. I had no answer. We drove home, 2 hours of silence. When we got to our small house, Elaine went straight to bed. I sat in the living room in the dark holding the shattered gift box. I didn't cry. I was too old for crying, too tired, too empty. The next morning, I woke up and decided something. I decided that I would not let this destroy me. I decided that I would not let Bradley's rejection define the rest of my life. I had spent 43 years being a father. Maybe it was time to be something else. I started small. I went for walks. I joined a gardening club. Elaine and I started volunteering at a local food bank. We didn't talk about Bradley. We didn't talk about the wedding. We just moved, 1 foot in front of the other. Weeks passed, then months. We heard nothing from Bradley. No call, no text, no explanation, just silence. The kind of silence that is louder than screaming. I checked his social media once, just once. The wedding photos were everywhere. Bradley and Tiffany cutting the cake. Bradley and Tiffany dancing. Bradley and Tiffany smiling with Patricia and the senator. There was no empty chair for us. No mention of the parents who weren't there. We had been erased, completely, thoroughly, as if we had never existed. I closed the laptop. I went back to my garden. 3 months after the wedding, I received a letter. Not an email, not a text. A physical letter handwritten on expensive stationery. It was from Bradley. I opened it with shaking hands. Dear Dad, I know you probably hate me. I don't blame you. I hate myself. What I did at the wedding was unforgivable. I know that, but I need you to know the truth. Tiffany's family threatened to disown her if you came to the wedding. They said they would pull their financial support. They said they would ruin my career. Patricia told me that if I didn't cut you out, she would make sure I never worked in this city again. I was scared, Dad. I was a coward, and I chose money over you. I chose a woman over the people who raised me. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I am asking for a chance to explain, to apologize in person, to try somehow to make this right. I miss you. I miss Mom. I miss our house and your garden and the way Mom makes meatloaf on Sundays. I threw away everything that mattered for things that don't. Please just think about it. Your son, Bradley. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it and put it in my pocket. I walked to the kitchen where Elaine was making tea. Bradley wrote, I said. She didn't look up. What did he say? I told her every word. When I finished, she set down her teacup. Her hands were steady. Her voice was steady. No, she said. Elaine. No, George, he made his choice. He stood there with his expensive suit and his rich fiancée and her terrible mother, and he chose them. He chose them over us. And now, because things aren't perfect, because Tiffany's family turned on him too, suddenly he wants us back. We're not a backup plan. We're not an insurance policy. We're his parents. And he threw us away. I had never heard Elaine speak like this. She was the soft one, the forgiving one, the one who always said family is family. But the wedding had changed something in her, broken something that could not be repaired. What do you want me to tell him? I asked. Nothing, she said. Tell him nothing. So I didn't respond. I put the letter in a drawer and closed it. Another 3 months passed, then 6, then a year. We heard rumors through old neighbors. Bradley and Tiffany had divorced. Her family had turned on him the same way they had turned on us. Patricia had made good on her threat. Bradley lost his position at the hospital. He couldn't find work in the city. He moved away. No one knew where. I should have felt satisfied. I should have felt vindicated. But I didn't. I just felt sad. Sad for the little boy who used to hold my hand. Sad for the teenager who used to tell me everything. Sad for the man who had let money and status turn him into someone I didn't recognize. 2 years after the wedding, I got a phone call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Dad, it was Bradley. His voice was different, older, tired. Please don't hang up, please. I'm not asking for anything. I needed to hear your voice. I didn't hang up, but I didn't speak either. I'm in a small town now, he continued. About 4 hours from you. I work at a clinic. It's not fancy. I don't make much money, but I'm helping people. Real people, not rich people. Not people who care about what suit I'm wearing. Silence. I think about that day every single morning when I wake up. I think about Mom holding that gift box. I think about the sound it made when it broke. I think about how I just stood there and watched you walk away. I didn't stop you. I didn't say anything. I just let you go. His voice cracked. I'm not asking to come back. I know I can't. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Dad, for everything. I looked across the room. Elaine was watching me. Her eyes were wet. Where are you? I asked. Bradley gave me the address. A small town called Millbrook, a clinic on Main Street, a small apartment above a bakery. I wrote it down. I said goodbye. I hung up. Are we going to see him? Elaine asked. I thought about it. I thought about the wedding. I thought about the security guards. I thought about the champagne flutes shattering on the ground. I thought about the 43 years of sacrifice. No, I said, not yet. But 3 weeks later, I got in the car alone. I didn't tell Elaine where I was going. I just left a note on the kitchen table. Went for a drive. Be back tonight. I drove 4 hours to Millbrook. It was a small town, the kind where everyone knows everyone. The clinic was on Main Street, just like he said, a modest building, a sign that said Millbrook Community Health Center. I sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes. Then I got out and walked inside. The waiting room was small, plastic chairs, old magazines, a receptionist who looked up and smiled. Can I help you? I'm looking for Dr. Bradley Thornton. Her smile widened. "Oh, Dr. Thornton is wonderful. He's with a patient right now. Can I tell him who's here?" I hesitated. Tell him his father is here." The receptionist's eyes went wide. She nodded and disappeared through a door. I sat in one of the plastic chairs. I waited. My hands were shaking. 5 minutes later, the door opened. Bradley walked out. He was wearing a white coat. He had lost weight. His hair was grayer. He looked tired, but he looked like himself. The real himself, not the man in the expensive suit, the man underneath. "Dad," his voice was barely a whisper. I stood up. "Hello, son." He started crying. Right there in the waiting room in front of the receptionist and the other patients. He didn't try to hide it. He didn't try to be strong. He just cried. "I didn't think you'd come," he said. "I didn't think you'd ever want to see me again." I walked toward him, slowly. "One step at a time." "I almost didn't," I said. "But your mother and I have been doing a lot of thinking about forgiveness, about family, about what it means to be a parent." He wiped his eyes. "I don't deserve your forgiveness. That's not your decision to make." I stopped in front of him. He was taller than me now. When had that happened? When had my little boy grown into a man I barely recognized? "Dad, I—" "Stop," I said. "I didn't come here to talk about the past. I came here to see my son, to see if he's okay, to see if he's eating, to see if he's happy." Bradley laughed. It was a broken sound. "Happy? No, not yet, but I'm trying to be better." We stood there for a moment. Then I opened my arms. He fell into them like he was 5 years old again, like he had fallen off his bike and scraped his knee and needed his father to make it better. I held him for a long time. I called Elaine from the parking lot. She picked up on the first ring. "He's a mess," I said, "but he's trying." "Is he okay?" "He's surviving. He's working at a small clinic, helping people who don't have much. He lives above a bakery. He says he can smell bread every morning when he wakes up." Elaine was quiet for a moment. "Did you forgive him?" I didn't say the words, but I held him. I think that was enough for now. "When are you coming home?" I looked at the clinic. Through the window I could see Bradley talking to a patient, an elderly woman with a walker. He was kneeling beside her, listening, really listening, the way he used to listen to me when he was a boy. "In a few hours," I said. "I think I want to stay for a while." I stayed for dinner. Bradley took me to a small diner around the corner. The food wasn't fancy. The chairs were vinyl. The coffee was terrible, but it was the best meal I had eaten in years. We talked, really talked, not about the wedding, not about Tiffany, not about the past, about the present, about his patients, about my garden, about Elaine's volunteering, about ordinary things, the way families are supposed to talk. Before I left, Bradley walked me to my car. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink. "Dad," he said, "can I come home just for a weekend, just to see Mom, just to try?" I looked at him, really looked. I saw the shame in his eyes, the regret, the hope. "Let me talk to your mother," I said. "But Bradley, if you come as our son, not as a surgeon, not as someone who used to be married to a senator's daughter, just our son, the boy we raised. Do you understand?" He nodded. "I understand. I'm not promising anything. It's going to take time. Years, maybe. Your mother is still hurt. I'm still hurt. We can't just pretend nothing happened." "I know. But we can try. That's all anyone can do, try." I got in the car. Bradley stood in the parking lot, watching me drive away. I watched him in my rearview mirror until he disappeared. He came home 2 weeks later. Elaine was nervous. She cleaned the house top to bottom. She made meatloaf. She set the table with the good dishes. Bradley arrived at noon. He brought flowers for his mother. He brought a potted plant for my garden. He stood at the front door, holding his gifts, looking smaller than I remembered. "Hi, Mom," he said. Elaine looked at him. For a long moment she didn't speak. Then she opened her arms. "Come here," she said. He walked into her arms. She held him the way she had held him when he was a baby, when he was a toddler, when he was a teenager with a broken heart. She held him like she would never let go. They cried together. I stood back and let them have their moment. Dinner was awkward at first. There were silences. There were moments when no one knew what to say. But then someone laughed at something, and then someone else laughed, and before we knew it, we were talking and eating and acting like a family again. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't fixed, but it was a start. That was 3 years ago. Bradley still lives in Millbrook. He still works at the clinic. He still lives above the bakery. He comes home once a month, sometimes more. He calls every Sunday. He asks about the garden. He asks about the food bank. He asks about us. He has started dating someone new, a nurse at the clinic. Her name is Diana. She is kind. She is humble. She came to our house for Thanksgiving last year. She helped Elaine with the dishes. She sat in the living room and listened to my stories. She didn't care that I was a retired teacher. She didn't care that our house was small. She cared about us. They are not engaged. They are taking it slow. Bradley says he is learning what matters, learning what love really means. The wedding is still a wound. We don't talk about it much. When we do, it's usually late at night after too much wine, when the walls are down and the truth comes out. I'm sorry, Bradley always says. We know, we always say. And then we move on, because that's what families do. They move on not because they forget, but because they choose each other, again and again, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Last week, Bradley called with news. The clinic in Millbrook is expanding. They need a new wing. He asked if I would help with the fundraising. He asked if I would speak at the groundbreaking ceremony. Me, I said, what would I say? He laughed. You can say whatever you want. You're a retired teacher. You've been talking to people for 40 years. I think you'll figure it out. I thought about it. I thought about the wedding. I thought about the security guards. I thought about the champagne flutes. I thought about the parking lot and the plastic chairs and the forgiveness I never thought I would be able to give. I'll do it, I said. The ceremony is next month. I'm writing my speech now. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say, but I know how I'm going to end it. I'm going to say this. Forgiveness is not about forgetting. Forgiveness is about choosing. Every single day you choose to love someone even when they don't deserve it. That's what parents do. That's what families do. That's what I learned from my son, not because he taught me, but because I had to teach myself. Bradley hurt us. He rejected us. He threw us away. And then he came back, not because he had nowhere else to go, but because he finally understood that money and status and fancy weddings don't mean anything. Family means everything. I'm not a rich man. I'm a retired teacher. I drive an old car. I live in a small house. But I have something that no amount of money can buy. I have a son who learned the hard way what really matters. And I have a wife who never gave up on him, even when I wanted to. That is the real American dream. Not wealth, not status, not a senator's daughter, love, forgiveness, second chances. That's what this clinic is about. Second chances. For the patients who come here, for the doctors who work here. For all of us who have made mistakes and are trying to do better. Thank you. I don't know if Bradley will ever fully heal from what he did. I don't know if Elaine and I will ever fully heal from what was done to us. But I know this, we are trying, all three of us, trying to be better, trying to love better, trying to forgive. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all anyone can ask for. The wedding invitation, the real one, the one that included us, arrived last week. Bradley and Diana are getting married next spring. Small ceremony, in our backyard. Elaine is already planning the flowers. I'm building a new trellis. Bradley asked me to walk him down the aisle, not because he needs someone to give him away, but because he wants me beside him, where I should have been all along. I said yes. Some things are broken, some things can never be fixed, but some things, the important things, can be rebuilt. brick by brick, day by day, apology by apology, forgiveness by forgiveness. It takes time. It takes courage. It takes a love that refuses to die, no matter how many times it is rejected. That is the kind of love parents have for their children. That is the kind of love that saved my son. And that is the kind of love that will walk him down the aisle, finally, after everything.